Next up, we have Pat Kelsey from Louisville. Here. Oh, there he
I'm
is.
here.
Morning. Sorry, I needed somebody to wave so I could find that window. Lots of windows here. All right. If you have a question for Pat, go ahead and use the raise hand tool. If you need access to record the call, just let me know that as well. First up is Jerry DePaula.
Good morning, Pat. I'm interested in your opinion on the NCAA tournament possibly expanding and whether or not you think the ACC should try to get everybody in the tournament rather than exclude the three bottom teams.
In terms of NCAA expansion, I sure don't have the right answer. I could give you my opinion. I'm a little bit of a traditionalist that if it's not broke, don't fix it. I think it's one of the greatest things going in American sports. And I'm one of those where, like, don't mess it up. But that's just me. You could convince me otherwise. There's a lot of guys that are smarter than me that probably have better opinions, but that's what I think. And then in terms of I think you asked about the ACC tournament, whether everybody should get in or not.
Yes, it did.
Yep. I mean, in my opinion, I know probably logistically it might be very difficult. I haven't taken the time to think through the logistics and planning and scheduling. The extent of me thinking about this was 17 seconds ago when you asked me. But if you ask my opinion, I think everybody in our conference should have an opportunity to experience the conference tournament. It's March Madness. It's one of the coolest things in sports, as I mentioned. And from a student athlete experience standpoint, I've heard people talk about this passionately that they all should experience that, and I'm in agreement of that.
Thank you.
Go next to Stephen Thompson.
Hi, Coach. The past few years, legal sports gambling has really taken off. And, you've seen, you got a federal investigation into some college basketball teams for, improper gambling activities and things of that nature. So I'm curious how much that stuff kind of keeps you up at night as a coach and how you try to protect your players against it.
Well, I mean, obviously gambling is huge in our country in today's day and age. And obviously it's seeped into every major professional sports entity, and college basketball is obviously one of those. I give our athletic department in our university a ton of credit for investing resources into the educational piece for our student athletes. We had a professional speaker come in here recently, and each team in our athletic department spent time listening to this presentation of this gentleman that got caught up on the wrong side of gambling, spent 6 years in federal prison. Just a very, very powerful story. Just things like that our athletic department does, obviously, to educate our student athletes as to the perils of involving themselves in anything like that. So I feel great about what we do at Louisville to make sure our guys are educated on those type of things. And it is what it is in this day and age. The amount of gambling that goes on. I was really taken aback a couple of years ago when a couple of our guys at Charleston, the morning after a game, I overheard them at breakfast talking about how they were just getting annihilated by gamblers on social media because they messed up this bet or this prop bet or something like that. And I'm a little bit naive and old school. I remember when there wasn't cell phones, and our guys think I'm old as crap because I say that. But just the fact that actually even goes on, it blew my mind. And, there was an outcry from a lot of coaches about, man, that is terrible. These people shouldn't do that. Well, fact of the matter is that ain't changing. The world's the world. There's crazy people out there. There's evil people out there. There's people that have nothing better to do than to be keyboard warriors and to crush guys after a bad gambling day or crush athletes for poor performances. I heard Matt Painter do an unbelievable post-game talk on how true fans aren't keyboard warriors that blitz and crush players on poor performances. But at the end of the day, it's the world. And what I tell our guys is be above the line and don't pay attention to the crap. Stay off your mentions. Stay off your they're not going to stay off social media because they're 18, 19, 20, 20-year-old kids, and that's how they've been raised. That's how they live their life. But don't read the crap that people say, whether it's gamblers, whether it's evil fans saying negative things, or really it's when people say good things. Don't read any of it. So that's a lot of the education that I try to do with our guys.
Thank you.
Myron Metcalf.
Hey, Pat. I know you saw Duke earlier and faced Cooper Flag earlier in the season, but I'm wondering if there was something on film, something in the game that he did that sort of exemplified his talent and the things that have made him a National Player of the Year contender.
Well, let me say this first and foremost, Myron. I don't have the bandwidth and the wherewithal in my pea brain to worry about anything but Cal on Saturday. That is where my 1,000,000% focus. So to talk about Duke, we haven't played them in about 6 years, it seems like. We played them back in December. I haven't even given Duke the second thought because I can't. I can only focus on who we're playing next. You mentioned that young man. He's a generational talent. He's one of the best players to wear a college basketball uniform, in my opinion, in a long, long time. And he's going to have a long, productive professional career. Hopefully it starts next year so I don't have to play against him again.
All right, thanks a lot.
Ben Portnoy.
Hey, Pat, wanted to ask you, I know you just got asked a little bit about tournament expansion, but looking at just college basketball at large, like obviously the college sports landscape has shifted a lot and college basketball has this kind of unique place in it with March and everything else. But when you look at the sport at large, what would you like to see, whether it's coaches or administrators or others, think about when it comes to kind of continuing to create value for this, certainly really important product in March, outside of March? And are there any kind of things that you would like to see?
Man, I do think now because of NIL and players' ability to be, compensated, and a lot of times it's just as opportunistic for a great player, for really, really good college basketball players to stay in college versus leaving to go professional. It's hopefully going to raise the level of our game in terms of, the overall talent level, because more of the better players are going to want to stay here. I think college basketball is an unbelievable product. I'm biased. I mean, I'm a huge sports fan in the United States. I love the Reds in Major League Baseball. I love the Bengals and the NFL. But, I don't think there's many things like college basketball. Like you just go to the Yum Center the other day on Saturday, and you see the pageantry and the stripe out and the emotion of the fan base, and it'll never change from the band and the cheerleaders. I don't care if they're pseudo-professional athletes. The collegiate stage on a big-time Saturday conference game, man, there's nothing like it. And now that the Super Bowl's over and baseball's still in spring training, the spotlight is on our great sport. And I think it's in a great place. Is there things that are messed up? Yes, but there's things that are messed up in every sports league, in every industry around the world. There's always room for improvement, and that's probably for another time in another interview. But I'm so bullish on college basketball here and in the future, and especially here in the city of Louisville.
Thanks, Pat.
Go to Matt McGavich.
Hey, Pat, two parts. One, when scouting Cal, like what's something that kind of pops up like that maybe you weren't expecting or just something they do well? And two, with you and your team having a little bit of a shorter bench than maybe you've been accustomed to in the past, how have you and your support staff maybe approached rest and recovery as opposed to like in years past?
Well, as far as Cal, I think a team takes on the personality of their coach, and Mark Madsen is one of the toughest, grittiest, grimiest, hardest playing players probably in a group in basketball history. He exemplifies skin knees and loose balls and playing with emotion. And that's what I see from his team, man. They are tough and hard playing. They crash the glass. They bring an unbelievable effort level. And like I said, I think so many times a team takes on the personality of their coach and they reflect what he's about in so many ways. I'll be starstruck a little bit when I see him on the sideline. I met him briefly in the spring meetings, but you know, gosh, I kind of watched him throughout his career and his NBA career, his legendary speeches after the Lakers championship in LA. I loved watching those type things. So that's what I see from them. You know, in terms of rest and recovery, yep, our rotation isn't kind of normally what it is normally in our system. And that's just because of all the injuries. I have the best strength and conditioning coach and athletic trainer in the country in Katie Kresnick and in Eli Foy, and I trust them implicitly. They do an unbelievable job in the rest recovery of our players, in the strength and conditioning of our players, and then I just trust their counsel. Every day they give me a great pulse on where individual guys are, where we are as a team, and whether we can ramp up or whether we need to ramp down. And that's part of our 25 strong culture. It's just, I have really good people around me, great people around me, and they make me look smart, which is really hard to do.
All right, Pat, that's all the time we have. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you.